Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everyone. Hello, and welcome to the May edition of the Commerce Bytes. My name is Saurabh, and I'm the founder of Assurex, an engineering agency specializing in Sitecore and Sitecore Commerce. We promise to bring you the latest and the greatest happening in the commerce world. And continuing with our tradition, today we have a very special guest from Sitecore, Peter Fellows. He's got vast experience in the e-commerce domain, and he's the Sitecore sales lead for Sitecore Commerce for the EMEA region. And today, instead of having a lot of presentations in the slides, in this edition, I'll be asking Peter about Sitecore recent acquisition of 451. We'll also take a few questions from the audience. So feel free to ask any questions you have in the Q&A box on your screens. Hello, Peter, and welcome to the Commerce Bytes. And thanks for taking time out for this webinar. It's great to have you here. So please tell our audience about your role at Sitecore, Peter.
Hi, Sarah. It's a pleasure to be here. Actually, thanks very much for inviting me. I've heard that Commerce Bytes is getting a bit of traction out there and getting a good audience. I'm honoured to be invited, so thanks for that. Yeah, so I'm coming up for 3 years in Sitecore this summer, and my role is really as an SME or subject matter expert in commerce, and to basically be in there supporting the front of line teams, so sales teams, channel teams, marketing teams as well, just to add a bit of commerce experience, I suppose, and knowledge into the engagements that we have with our customers. Before Sitecore, I was at Hybris and SAP, and before that, a while ago, I was at IBM for Sitecore Commerce, which is now HCL. So I've been in commerce for a while. I've also done order management with Yantra, which became Sterling Order Management. So you can see my involvement's been there for quite a while. I've been through a few acquisitions as well. So that gives me a bit of an insight into how we buy and sell these companies too. So
that's a good point. You are the right person to ask all these questions now. But that's like a vast experience there. Sitecore is on a buying spree, and you've made like 3 acquisitions in as many months. Whatever, 451, Mood, and what does it mean for the market, and especially for the customers of Sitecore?
Yeah, it's interesting. You probably need to invite Steve T, who's our CEO on next month's Commerce Bytes, to give you perhaps the in-depth and the behind-the-scenes reasons for it. But from my point of view, it's a very exciting time to be at Sitecore. When the call came out that we had 1.2 billion to spend, some people had a bit of a laugh, and I think there was a campaign going around saying "spend it like Steve," and with lots of colourful suggestions. But it's interesting, I think, that he has invested it in just cool, modern, performant technology. So when we look at the marketplace, he hasn't gone out and bought competitors, or he hadn't consolidated, or he hasn't bought a customer base, which is what typically happens. He's actually gone out there to, I suppose, refresh, replace, and actually provide the customers with the latest and greatest technology. So for the customers that are with Sitecore, I think it gives them a great roadmap, a great future. They can stick with Sitecore, they can continue to invest, they can continue to be supported by Sitecore, and they're not going to miss out on some of the latest and greatest developments in the technology field. For the new market that we're chasing, of course, we have some great things to offer. So, I think very aggressive, very positive investments they're making, and large numbers too. So very good. I think the purchases they made. Of course, you forget Style Labs as well and Content Hub, because that was made last year. Yeah. So whilst it hasn't been in the 1.2 million rush, it was certainly part of the long-term strategy, I feel, of delivering multi-tenant SaaS solutions as part of an extended DXP. So with that Content Hub, with 451, with Box7, and now with Moose End, closed this week, I think, didn't it? We're starting to put together this SaaS API-driven, microservices-based DXP platform of the 21st century. There you go.
Absolutely, and I've been doing Sitecore since 2009. It's been a long time I've been doing Sitecore, and I can say it's pretty exciting to see all these things happening in the Sitecore world.
It is.
And then I've been to a few trainings of the Sitecore, and Sitecore has been kind of very fast with the training this time as well. I've been to a few trainings, and I'm kind of really excited, about the future, what it's going to bring for us.
Yeah. Well, I think our customers are in a great place, because if you're a customer of certain other companies in this market, you'd be given a menu of older technologies, of customer bases they bought, or consolidation, and that's really not what customers want. They want to be on a journey which takes them to the latest and greatest, and to actually deliver value back to the businesses with new stuff. And I think we've done the right thing. So exciting for me.
And combine that with because Sitecore is already we've gotten a quadrant leader, and combine that with Sitecore XP, and you've got one of the best platforms available in the market today.
Absolutely right. We could have sat in our laurels for a few more years, probably, but you'd have seen the adoption curve go down. You'd have seen the product life cycle drop off the end of a cliff. So I think we're injecting that newness, that investment at the right time. I think it's really positive. Yeah.
So now bringing back the focus onto 451. Yeah. So what it is like, why 451? What does it have to offer?
I think there's a couple of points really. I mean, this gives us a chance to tell everybody that actually 451 is the name of the company we bought, and OrderCloud is the name of the commerce platform. So we can talk about OrderCloud now, but why they bought 451? Well, this is a company that's been around since 1999. It was founded by two guys, Mark Johnson and Rich Lander, who is still with the company now. So it's had a long heritage and pedigree of building a platform based upon real business models, commercial models. So they have a real depth of knowledge of how these marketplaces and how these interactions work. So you can see that actually in the product. So 451 was founded in 1999. It was multi-tenant SaaS from the very beginning, from the first line of code. So that gives us great pedigree in that market. It came out of a B2B data model, I believe, first. So in commerce, we all know that, you can have B2C, you can have B2B. Sometimes you'll try and get a single platform. Now, typically it comes from the B2C world, and they try and build things on top of it, which can be a little inefficient, we could say. I think we've got the B2B model, and we're using that to build into B2C and into these complex marketplaces, which I think are on the rise, actually, in territories around the world. The platform is Mac architecture, and I know we're going to touch on that in a little while. And it's a very flexible, very agile, very open platform, which we've got. And why did we buy it? I think we bought the technology, as we said earlier, not the market or the customer base. It's part of Steve T's and the investors' strategy for this SaaS platform, the SaaS architecture. So I think it fits really nicely. Yeah.
And then, I've done a lot of commerce integrations in the past as well. I think once we have it fully integrated with the whole platform suite, like you said, Content Hub, Box Table and Muzen. So we are going to get the best of breed afterwards as well. So
yeah, you are exactly best of breed. I mean, who'd have said that before? We've been through the best of breed arguments many years ago. I think I've been through that before. And now we went to a single platform, a single architecture, this monolithic, people are calling it. And of course, that proved to be very, very good for lots of companies. All the functionality was there, but it had all the restrictions of a monolithic architecture. Absolutely. You were relying on upgrades to give you new functionality. You're relying on you were really tied into the vendor to actually allow your business to grow. And I think that is now changing. I think that's why we're now on this new road for Mac architecture and SaaS architecture. And it gives companies, our customers, a lot more flexibility in how they manage, how they mold the technology for the business rather than the other way around.
So you briefly mentioned about OrderCloud. Tell us more about that. What OrderCloud is? And maybe you can explain the technology behind OrderCloud. You mentioned Mac architecture, so maybe you can elaborate a bit on that one as well.
Yeah, so probably most people in your audience will know what Mac is, but just to go over that, Mac is microservices, it's API first, which is very important. Those words, API first, and not just driven through an API. It's SaaS native or cloud native, and obviously it's headless. And headless is very popular at the moment in the marketplace. Most people seem to want headless. I wonder sometimes whether most people understand what a true headless capability is and what they're missing by getting headless or what they're actually gaining from it. But so it's a Max certified platform. There are very, very few Max certified platforms that give you B2C, B2B, and B2B2C or B2X marketplaces. So it sits quite alone in that selection, I think. It's incredibly customizable. We have this quite interesting, quite different data model within the platform. So it recognizes buyers, it recognizes sellers, and it also recognizes suppliers. And if you can imagine that each one of those can be configured in a totally unique way, the relationship between them can be configured in a unique way. You have a very flexible syntax around pricing, catalogs, and roles. So it doesn't take a lot to think that this is an incredibly flexible tool, which will allow you to build really bespoke structures, bespoke architectures around, which will, as I say, match what you're trying to do with your business a lot easier than something that's out of the box or packaged or just ticked off the list of 50 different bits of functionality, and half of them not really useful to anybody.
That's really cool. Yeah. And just to set the expectation right for the audiences as well. So in this, we are going to talk about the platform at the very high level. And, in the future sessions, we might go into the details and show you hands-on how the things are being done in the OrderCloud.
I mean, I usually hate saying when people say, well, tell me about it. I usually hate saying, well, go to the website. Isn't that the worst thing you can hear? But actually, in this case, I would encourage people to go to the OrderCloud.io website. And if you're a developer, you can actually register for a free sandbox. You can get into it. You can start playing with it. You can start building it, use the microservices. It's a very open website and allow you to actually get into it and actually see how this thing works. So actively encourage your audience to get onto OrderCloud.io and register for the system and just look at it, check it out, get under the covers of it. There is a 451.io website as well, which is more marketing based. It'll give you some more information about some of our custom stories. But all the information is there.
So guys, OrderCloud.io is the platform, is the URL. If you want to go and try your hands on 451 or OrderCloud.
Yeah.
Cool. I think next question is about the customers. How many customers do we have for OrderCloud already? I'm not sure whether you can disclose this information on the call, or maybe you can give us the idea of the transactions or the revenue that is being processed through it. What are we looking at?
Well, yeah, I've looked up a couple of metrics just in case you ask me that question. Okay, so I've got them listed on the side of here. So I think customers about 250 plus customers. But I think I will say that it's not just these are quite complex customer operations you're dealing with here. So, for example, Aveda is one of our customers. They're a division of Estee Lauder, and what we're doing there is we're actually managing the purchase by over 4,000 hair salons of products from Aveda. So it's that internal purchase marketplace. Now there's a B2B fundamentally operation going on there, where each salon is allowed to come online and purchase products for the salon. But there's also a B2C angle to it as well. So clients can actually go onto the website and purchase, that bottle of shampoo or that bottle of color that they use in the salon. So, there's some of the complexity of some of the customers we're dealing with. But I got some stats from last year's throughput of the service, actually, if you want to hear. So apparently there's about $5 billion worth of transactions annually. 1.5 million users, 500 supplier accounts, 70,000 requests per second on the service, and a 99.999999% uptime.
Well, that's really cool.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. I mean, 451 will say that they've got 100% successful implementation record. Well, I've never heard that before in IT, but I'm willing to believe them.
That's really cool. And, given the amount of transactions and all those things are already happening, this kind of uptime is very critical as well.
Yes, it is. Yeah.
Especially what last 2 years have taught us in terms of getting online and all those things. So
yeah, absolutely right. Yeah, I think they encourage you to think of it differently. I mean, the Mac architecture is very different to most of the development environments we have now. I think. I mean, you know what it's like to be a Sitecore developer, and most of the audience probably do as well. But in this particular platform, they say that if you have front-end development experience, which is great, and you know how to read an API, then fundamentally you have a lot of the skills to start building on OrderCloud.
In the market, sometimes people struggle to get core Sitecore resources or core particular platform resources. But as long as you know how to do the APIs and as long as you know how to use the front end, I think you are set for it.
That's it. That's what it seems like. I mean, there's also the old elephant in the room of the integrations, but we have to do those anyway, don't we? But fundamentally, from a commerce platform point of view, this is now the type of skill set you need in order to deliver these unique experiences.
Yeah. And do you focus on is it focused on any verticals? There are key verticals for 451, or is any company can go in and kind of
Yeah. I mean, fundamentally, the platform is flexible enough to address any vertical, to be honest with you. I mean, the number of conversations we're having at the moment are coming in from all over the shop, whether it be manufacturers, a lot of manufacturer brands looking to build their digital platforms. I mean, we've obviously been through a tumultuous year, 18 months or so, which has ravaged business, but it's also changed business, And I think people are looking now to how they can, not just pop up a web shop, because I think they've probably already done that, within the last 12 months. But I think they've learned very quickly what that means. And now they're coming back and saying, well, what does it actually mean for our business to grow? Now we need something for more flexible, more performant, more scalable, that sort of thing. So I think we've seen a wave of companies coming at us to say, we like what we've experienced with digital. Now let's do it properly. But in terms of markets, I mean, you can go anywhere, but they've typically targeted places like manufacturing, distribution, because of this data model that's within the platform, and retail ops. I've just talked to you about a retail ops example now. But we have franchises, which are quite a few franchises on the network, where you have ownership at the franchise level, you have ownership at the supply level, and there's one interesting one. I love this example. It's called Play Again Sport, and it's practically you can go into one of the franchises with your old kit, and you can load that kit onto the central system, and you can put it up for sale. And what happens then is that's added to the catalog. The catalog is then shared between every franchise around the country in the US. And then people can go onto that website and buy any bit of kit from any franchise. Now, actually, there are 5 brands under this particular holding company. But if we talk about this kit one, who'd want to buy a second-hand sports kit? But it's probably another Commerce Bytes session, right? And then, of course, you put it into a common basket, but then you can pay for it separately, you can get it fulfilled separately by line item. So there's quite a lot of complexity when you're talking about that certain business. But OrderCloud is the perfect platform to sort that out and manage it. So very interesting example. So yeah, manufacturing, distribution, retail ops. But obviously we talked about B2C and we talked about D2C, direct to consumer from manufacturers. The ability to build the experience is quite unlimited, I think. We all know what you can do within a React framework, I suppose, and you can use compelling content to build great experiences. So this is a very experience-led platform, I think.
And I think you partially answered my next question.
Okay.
I was talking, I was coming on to the common strategies. So given the B2B thing, so I was assuming that it will support the complex organizations. And I think you mentioned about the kids and all those things. You can do all these things. And is there anything you want to add to that as well?
No, yeah, I've mentioned this syntax we have between catalog, price lists, price views, subcategories, all that sort of stuff. Ownerships, we have the data model. I think I think what it does do for people looking at this, and also partners and people who are involved with Sitecore, is that it does bring you into slightly more deeper conversations. So you're not reselling a package, or you're not just implementing a package. you're actually being able to go into the client and talk to clients about what is it your business actually needs, how is your business structured, what are your customers like, what are those user journeys like, and you can go in there with a complete confidence that you can build something. You're not going to say no too often. That's what I'm thinking about, and I think that's going to be quite positive.
It's like a SaaS customized to your needs.
Yeah, that's right. Well, the platform, of course, is that the engine is in SaaS. That's what you subscribe to. But it's the applications is where the uniqueness lies. And of course, the applications, all the heads, or the experiences, whatever you want to call them, are what people like yourself are going to be building out. In conjunction with partners, and that's where you get.
And that's what gives the partners some kind of work to do as well. It's not completely out of box. So partners have a role to play in this as well. So
absolutely right. You own the roadmap essentially. The customer owns the roadmap. We don't own it to that degree. The customer owns the roadmap, and that's quite revolutionary. I think when people still think about upgrades. How many times I've got an upgrade system? You don't. We apply functionality or capability in non-breaking terms. So therefore, we can apply 50 a week, 50 a month, and you still wouldn't feel it. There wouldn't be a movement in the force, so to speak.
That's really cool. That's really good to know.
That is cool.
And you gave that example of Salam. There are I think 4,000 franchises. So that means it supports a complex retail and the franchising operation. So if you've got a company, who's into franchising and they want to order their like ingredients or something like that for their operations, they should be able to kind of work on the OrderCloud as well.
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
There is another trend that is going on nowadays is like where you can direct to customers. So there's an intermediary, but you can sell directly to the customers as well.
Yes.
So I'm assuming that is a kind of scenario that is also kind of supported by OrderCloud.
The D2C scenario is sometimes can be quite complex. Actually, you could be behind a login or in front of a login, so it can be true B2C, I suppose, in that sense. But you can also log in, you can run accounts. It's got full B2B type capabilities in terms of approvals, workflow, that sort of stuff. So it's very flexible in being able to, as I said, be behind the login and in front of it in that sense.
That's really cool. And then there's the flexibility for the partners to kind of combine all these strategies for a customer to get into a really complex implementation scenario, which clients really require. So these are the things that are achievable using the OrderCloud. Absolutely
right. Yeah, and some people. We have another example where there's chains of restaurants. So a bit like Chipotle. These are names that come out of the US. I don't understand what they do often, but and they're buying from restaurant supply companies. That's another internal marketplace. But what's happened is the restaurant supply company has built such a great model that's unique to each of its customers that they're now using this as a tool to go out and sell their services to other restaurants chains. So because they have the flexibility, they're able to build these unique experiences for each of their customers very quickly. Then that adds value. I think it shows that the service is a quality service. It's well defined. There's technology behind it. The process is very secure. So that's an interesting idea where somebody would be using the power of OrderCloud to be able to go and expand their own business into selling onto other businesses. Yeah.
That's really cool. And I'm assuming that the personalization. Yeah. It will support the personalization because that's what Sitecore is known for. And the customer going to expect the personalization features, etc. OrderCloud might have some personalization features as well.
Yeah, I think we can personalize the offer through, connecting to certain products in the catalog and stuff like that, certain price lists. So you can define that down to an individual level in terms of what that is. I think it's for true personalization. I think we would still look to either XP potentially, or probably more now towards the BoxEver system, whereby BoxEver being a CDP has this whole ability to drive personalization, testing, A/B test, all that sort of stuff. So I think in the future architecture or the future proposals, or BoxEver may be playing more and more of a part in that. And that's also a SaaS-driven tool. So I think it would be kind of
seamless integration between two SaaS platforms into the front end.
Absolutely right. Yeah. But Sitecore will be driving those integrations probably as we speak. They're busy coding away to make sure that we offer our customers an integrated option rather than just an API.
Oh yeah, that's a lot to look forward to be honest. I'm really excited. Doing commerce for 5 years now, and I'm kind of really excited. So, and in the future, like people have Sitecore experience commerce, so I'm sure they are going to benefit from this acquisition and going into the company. And SaaS is the future, obviously. So, what's your view on that? We have got customers with using experience commerce. Future is kind of maybe hybrid or and definitely going forward it will be SaaS. So, what's your thought around that?
Yeah, I mean, it's that I suppose some people say the $1 million question in that sense. If you're a customer of Experience Commerce, you've been using it, it's supporting your business, then you'd be looking around saying, okay, what does this mean for me? I mean, interestingly, we're still selling XC. So we're still signing contracts for XC. And I think where people have a big investment in Sitecore, particularly Experience Platform as it stands today, they're using things like XDB to drive personalization and testing, and they're just adding commerce capability on top of that DXP, then XC seems to still be the way to go. It's still out there. We still have a roadmap of to take it over the next couple of versions. I think where people actually want to go, I mean, Sitecore XC can go headless, that. There's we can connect to JSS services for that. But I think where people want to look for true headless, true SaaS, and potentially, the use of an open API system for connecting into lots of different other things, I think they will look to 451 OrderCloud to do that for them. I think as a customer, as a company, we have to look after our customers. And I think Steve T, our CEO, has said that's number one priority. And I think, we will definitely be working with our XC customers to make sure we support them now, make sure they continue to get value from it, but also make sure how we can perhaps take them on the journey over the next couple of years to take them into the new SaaS world if that's where they want to go. But I think it's all positive all around. I don't think people should be too concerned about that. We will look after them, and hopefully they'll be customers of Sitecore for many years to come.
That's cool. I think, I think that's, those are the questions that I have for you. And I've got a few questions coming in from the audience. So, a few questions came in while people were registering. And one such question is from Peter Leslie from Sagittarius. He said that 451 is platform agnostic.
Yeah.
Will it replace Sitecore Commerce, compete with it, or be complementary to it?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I do think you need to perhaps invite Steve T on the, or Mark Johnson from who's our new head of the commerce division in Sitecore, to perhaps answer those questions. I mean, I don't know the answer to it myself. I really don't. I mean, I can pass a comment on it to say that, we've just said that perhaps SaaS is the future. I mean, we're buying SaaS companies like crazy at the moment, and that's obviously the future way to go. Mac is got a lot of prominence at the moment. People are buying into the Mac future and the Mac direction. So I think the long-term future has to be around that. But that's not to say that XC, as I said, is still being purchased today by customers who see the value in it, see how it fits into their technical architecture. Mac and multi-tenant SaaS is not for everybody. Let's say it that way. That's the other point. It's not for everybody. So we're able to give people a choice, I think, at the moment. And I think for as far as I can see ahead, then that'll continue to be what it is.
Yeah, and in my personal opinion, I think it's going to be complementary to each other. If there's a different customer base and they want, if you've got experience commerce and you want SaaS implementation along with it, you can have it. You can have it alone, and you can have XC alone as well. So it's my personal opinion, but let's see how it shapes. Yeah.
I mean, lots of companies want to drive different experiences. Lots of companies do B2B and B2C on the same, through the same business channels, and they want to have that on the same platform. And we have a perfect migration strategy for them. But I agree with you, Saurabh. I think let's see what happens. But I want to just tell people on Commerce Bytes, if they're customers or partners, that we're there to support them. And I don't see an end for XC just yet.
Yeah, and one question came in from Shasha from American Eagle. She's asking whether, I'm not sure whether you can answer that question on the call.
Oh gosh.
Will you deprecate Sitecore Commerce by end of this year?
No, I think we're just we just. What was the word? Are we going to delete? We're going to what?
Deprecate it.
Oh, deprecate it. No. I think I've just answered that one.
So, and there are one more question I will take. It's coming from Hitul. He said, are there any plans for architectural changes to existing OrderCloud post or acquisition, or is it going to remain the same as in the most part?
I'm not quite. Not quite sure what.
Maybe I can step in there. So I don't think you're going to change the architecture after buying this. I don't know.
Oh gosh, no. I think the architecture is what we bought. Because as I said, the architecture is truly quite a differential for what we have now as an asset. The architecture allows us to get into more markets, more verticals. It allows us to help more companies and allows us to help more of our own customers, our own Sitecore customers actually deliver something quite unique. So the architecture is what we bought, and I think that's what's going to drive the success of Sitecore in the future.
That's really cool. And I'm trying my luck here.
Go on. Again.
Are there any plans for further acquisitions?
Yeah, that definitely is one above my... What's the phrase they use? One above my pay grade, I think. They keep saying this. I mean, Moose End appeared, didn't it? Quite quickly. Yes. I'm interested to the idea is to deliver a completely brand new, current platform for everything from content through to commerce. I think that's what the company have said. And so, what are the gaps in there that we haven't got? I haven't done that analysis, to be honest with you, so I couldn't guess, but I'm sure everyone here will have a little guess at it. We've got the commerce, we've got the CDP, we've got the content, we've now got Content Edge as well, so the delivery of content. We've got our existing assets, so we've got the new marketing automation tool. So I don't know. I mean, DXP means lots of different things to different people, I've found. But what the gaps are in there, I'm not really sure. I haven't got a clue what he's going to buy next. But,
No, I understand that. So we have got a few more questions, but given the amount of time, I think we'll try to answer those questions over the email, or I will try to reach out to the people, and I'll forward those questions to you. And if you have the answers, we will forward those answers to the people later on.
Yeah, please. I've had a few requests for connecting online, so please, I'm happy to connect to people if they want to do that. They can reach me at my email, which is peter.fellows@sitecore.com. Happy to take emails from anybody that want to share comments or ask some questions. Please keep in touch.
Yeah, and sorry guys, I'm not able to take any more questions given we are already past the time. So, but we'll definitely try to get you answers offline. So, Peter, those were the questions that I had for today, and I would like to thank you again for your time in answering those questions around this exciting acquisition that you've done.
Well, I hope I've managed to answer some of them, Saurabh, and give people answers to some. I know there's going to be more. I mean, perhaps I can come on a later version, a later episode of Commerce Bytes, and when more of this is fleshed out and more of this is made public, then we can have another discussion. But
that's the idea. In the future, we are going to build upon this one. So you have set up the base, and we are going to build upon the base and bring out more information around the platform, be it the technique, be it the technology behind it, or be it hands-on stuff in the future edition of the Commerce Bytes. Okay. So thank you very much, Peter. It was a pleasure having you here.
That's good to see you.
And with this, we come to an end of this edition of the Commerce Bytes. We'll have a great speaker joining us in the June edition as well. I will disclose the name in the due course, but I'm going to shortly start up with the registration for that. So please head to commercebyte.com to register. It will be starting by end of day tomorrow. Thank you again for taking time out to attend this session, and take care. Stay safe. Thank you.